Hi guys, hello everybody. So today I'm just going to be talking about something that I know a lot of people struggle with because I also struggle with it as well. And I'm sorry, I'm just checking to see if all my slides are displaying well. Yeah, so today I just want to talk about how to build a digital presence that actually attracts customers. These are strategies that I have seen other people use. These are strategies that I have used myself, right? And I have seen them work. So because I don't want this video to be long, I'm just going to jump into it straight. So the first thing that you want to do when you're trying to build a presence online is that you want to be in one place. You don't want to be everywhere. You don't want to be scattered. You don't want to be like this guy who now gets confused you. Because the thing is that when you're just starting out, chances are that you're probably the only one on the team or you only have one marketer on the team, right? And it wouldn't make any sense to now stretch yourself so thin, being that you're the only one in the team. So it always makes a lot of sense to stay in one place, stay where you know that your customers already are. And I'm going to give you an example of a brand that I know that did that. I once worked for an agrotech brand, and I remember that when I got to the company, they did have social media, but they were not really on social media like that. They were on GG. Why? Because most of their customers were already searching on GG. And trust me, they were making sales from GG. So the director was smart enough to actually focus all his energy on there. He ran ads on GG, posted content on GG. GG was his main place. And the surprising thing is that if you do the right thing, if you're selling a product that is actually impacting people, helping people, solving one problem, eventually you're going to tell other people about you. Your audience, your target audience can be your biggest fan. They can be the one to help you put yourself out there. So that's what I would advise. Find a place and stay. Then how do you choose where you want to be? The easiest place to choose where you want to be is to be where your audience already are. If you're a B2B company, I really don't understand why you're going to spend all your time on Snapchat. It doesn't. If you're B2B, you already know that your best bet is LinkedIn. If you're targeting Gen Zs, you know that Snapchat is their place, Snapchat or TikTok. If you're an e-commerce person, or maybe you're into logistics, you want to cater to e-commerce, or you have a platform where you want online vendors to come and be, the best place for you would be at Instagram or TikTok, because I see a lot of vendors there, right? I always recommend opening Facebook for any. I don't know why, this is just my personal bias. I'm of the opinion that everybody is on Facebook for some reason, and Facebook has like massive data that you can leverage on. But that's just my own personal bias. But um, realistically, stay where your audience are, right? Eventually, of course, your audience will probably, yes, your audience are on LinkedIn or they're on Instagram, and that's where you are, yada yada yada. Yes, chances are your audience are also on other social platforms, right? And if you do a good job, if you actually do what you're supposed to do in terms of that, you are educating them, you are you're helping them understand why this product is the best, you're helping them. So you're posting useful content. It's important to understand that as much as you're picking a platform where your audience already are, to really really get them to notice you, you have to be posting helpful content, right? Because look at it, at the end of the day, people follow pages, people follow brands, or people follow other people for two major reasons: either they are being entertained or they are being educated. I mean, if you look at yourself, right, you notice that all the brands that you follow, all the people that you, aside from your friends or your personal network, most people are either entertaining you or educating you. So that's the best way to go about it, right? Yeah. So the next thing you want to do is to try to build a community. It's something I see that a lot of founders do not understand when you say things like, "Oh, let's build a community." Because when you say let's build a community, then when you are creating content, you are creating content with in mind that, okay, I am talking to this set of people. Because it is one thing to say, "Oh, I want to create content for social media," but it's another thing to come out and say, "Oh, I'm building a community of data marketers, I'm building a community of founders, I'm building a community of Gen Zs, I want to create content from there." That helps you streamline your content, and you know that, okay, you have to create content that speaks to those people. You can't say you are building a community of Gen Zs and then you are not talking about I'm trying to find a good, okay, you're not talking about old adage or like proverbs from 50 years ago. Most of them don't really care about that, right? Or you say you want to build a community of founders and all you are putting on your page is just how to laugh. Even though people are being entertained, right? they probably will not follow you for any serious reasons, right? So you want to build, think when you think of building your social media page, think of building for communities. You want to build a community of this, you want to build a community of that. And that's what Adeife did before she started remote worker, right? Before she started remote work, Adeife was always online. Part of what I'm doing today, right now, teaching you guys what I know, was what I learned from Adeife. She's always talking about how to monetize your skills, blah blah blah, how to do this, how to do that. She was building that community of young women who were trying to find remote work or trying to make money or trying to monetize their skills. She was building a community with her content before she even launched remote worker. Right. And so there's no surprise that remote worker is actually, gaining the traction is gaining now, because this girl had built that community before she even thought about, I don't know if before she thought about remote worker, but before remote worker came, Adeife had built that community. So I implore you to learn from that. You can always build that presence before you even before the product is ready. Okay, right. So another thing you want to do is that you want to tell your story. You want to tell your story. You want to say the why. And it's another thing I'm using. I'll use Adeife again before I use Tunde again, but it was one thing that Adeife also did, right? She also told her story of how she struggled a little, blah blah blah, all of that, and yeah. But the thing is that telling your story is an emotional way to connect to your client, to your target audience. You understand? At the end of the day, as far as you are selling to human beings, as long as you're still selling to human beings, you have to find some sort of emotional buying. If you've been in this business, if you've been in the business of marketing or sales for a while, you understand that selling and buying is emotional. People buying is emotional, right? So let me use Tunde Onakoya, that I hope I pronounced that word well, to talk about what it means to really sell your story. Now, Tunde did not sell chessboard. I mean, if you've been following the story, you know that he just sold chessboard recently. He was selling one chessboard for about, I think, a million naira or so. I can't remember, right? But yeah, he was selling like that. Now, people did not buy that chessboard because Tunde was a fine boy. Mm-mm. People bought it because we had seen this guy, we had watched this guy play chess. You understand? To help children in the slum, right? We have seen him do that before he came to be telling us to buy. There was a story behind, there was a mission, there was a purpose, there was something that he wanted to achieve. He wanted to help children, right? And that was what connected people to buying it. Because imagine if I had the money, if I had a million, I definitely would have bought it, if not for anything. Imagine somebody coming to your house and seeing the chess board, like, oh, do you know Tunde? Do you understand? People wanted to be connected with that kind of person. People wanted to be connected to the mission. And I think he had put it out there that half of the money was going into charity. All the more, the better for him. You understand? Of course, I want to be part of that. Of course, most rich people like that. They want to, know that they are contributing to humanity, right? So it wasn't because it was strategic and it was emotional. So you can do that with your product as well. You can do that, or if you're selling a service. If the reason why you're starting this cleaning service is because when you were running your own company, the cleaners were rude, the cleaners were not doing a good job, whatever it is. If you're starting logistics because you are tired of how people stressed you, yada yada, tell that story. If you're doing the story because of how you suffered to make, just like the way Technical Ben is doing on Twitter, you suffered a lot, right? And now you just want to help people get remote platforms to work. Then tell your story. Trust me, um it's one of the biggest things that you can do for your brand, right? You want to be like this guy right here on my screen. Tell your story. People love a good story, especially in this Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, but in this Nigeria, we like this grass to grace story, so you would sell pretty well, right? So the next thing that you want to do, you want to show your work. Even if you have not launched here, you want to your content is your proof. Again, I will still go back to Adeife. I will still go back to Technical Ben. I think Technical Ben is selling a product right now. I just, because I was on Twitter before I came up to shoot this video, and I saw that he was talking about a platform where they wanted people who are looking for remote jobs to come there, blah 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 blah, blah. I saw that before I came. Technical Ben had built a community. He had been doing Twitter spaces back to back, helping young people who are trying to get into tech, telling them how to go about it. So he already has a young following. So if he decides that he wants to sell something today, that young man has built trust. You can also replicate that. You can do that too. It all ties into selling your story, yada yada yada, all of that. Okay, so please, before, if you don't even have to wait, you don't even need an office space yet, you don't need the product to have taken off, you don't need the cleaners to, you don't need anything to have started before you start building content around while you are doing what you are doing. Not that you will now come and build it now, then you hire one digital marketer and then you now be telling her to give you traction under 2 months, something that you've not, nobody even knows where you're coming from, nobody knows who you are, you want to gain traction in 2 months. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, so do this before your pre-launch. I promise you, you will see traction as soon as your product launches. I've seen it happen. We've seen Adeife and all of that, and all of that. So the four types of content that you want to be doing before in all this to help build your presence, the four types of content you want to have is educational posts, right? You want to, again, people usually follow people on social media for two reasons: either you're being educated or you're being entertained. Again, check your personal life, check all the brands that you're following. They're either entertaining you or they're educating you. So you want to create a lot of educational posts. And now when you're creating educational posts, it doesn't necessarily have to be your service alone. Not that you will not create content about what your logistics business does from A to Z. Not that you, maybe you have an ed tech, you will not be educating them why the ed tech is they will get tired. Do you understand? There's also saying that I can't remember where I heard the saying from, but this is how I really feel. Nobody cares about your product. Nobody cares about your business. They only care about what your business can do for them, right? So you want to, when I say create educational posts, again, the goal is community. So now, because you know you are creating for a community, you want to educate the community on something. Now, if you're creating a community of Gen Zs, what are the things out there you think Gen Zs should know? What are the, what are the educational things? I'm trying to think right now. What are the things you think you can educate Gen Zs on? Do you understand? If you're creating a platform for women, maybe you're creating a community of women, maybe you want to explain to them how to protect themselves from pregnancies, how to avoid pregnancy. Maybe you're talking to young women, or you want to teach them hygiene, how to have better hygiene, yada yada. Just make sure that your educational content is speaking to the community and not just your products. Do you understand? That's what gets them to follow. I don't think you follow any brand because they talk about their brand from morning to night. I don't think so, right? So yes, you want to create educational content. You want to create case studies, and I've seen case studies work for me in particular. Most of the gigs I've gotten on LinkedIn are because I've always shared case studies on the things that I have done, on brands that I have worked on. I let you know this was the problem, this is how I approached the problem, this is how I solved the problem, and this was the result I got. And so because people can see a clear process, you understand, that makes a lot of sense to them, it's easier to trust you. Okay, this person knows what they are doing. So if I tell you, oh, my money is 50,000 naira, because you've seen case studies, upon case studies, it's easy for you to say, okay, I can trust you, you know what you're doing, right? Another thing again is testimonials. Now, testimonials are one of the they are the biggest converters that you can ever find. People like me, for instance, now I am one of the worst online shoppers that you can ever have. Me particularly worst. Like I have that much trust issues, right? And so one of the biggest things to convince people like me who don't like to buy things online is through testimonials. And it makes it gives a lot of there's more impact when that testimonial is coming from the customers themselves, in that maybe you're posting the customer's review on your page and you're tagging the customer, or they are posting it on their page. Either ways, it says a lot when other people can reach out to that customer and be like, oh, I heard that you use so and so product, please, how is it? Trust me, if your product is good, if it really does solve a problem for people, if it's really doing what it's intended to do, I feel like all products should solve problem for people, right? Or service, whatever. If it's really doing what it's supposed to do and your customers are satisfied, trust me, they will sell your brand, they will sell it better than your salesperson can sell it. Because I mean, look at all the times that you've used a really, really good product. For instance, let's use ChatGTP now, one of the best products out there. And one of the people, see, there's no how you would talk about it. You would sing about it. You shout because it's such a good product and you feel like everybody should have access to it. So testimonials are that powerful. Even for the most stubborn of stubborn, like people like me, testimonials can really, really help you go far to build that audience and get customers. You also want to, you are allowed to do live sessions, like maybe do product demos so people see how this product actually works in real time, or maybe you are doing behind the scenes. Behind the scenes content is also another very good converting content, right? Because I remember that the 20K ad I ran that brought the 900K revenue was actually behind the scene content. It builds trust. People can see your process and they know what's going there, and they know that okay, you're not trying to scam them, you actually do the business, yada yada yada, all of that. So these are the type of things that you want to put on your page if you are trying to build a presence, build visibility for yourself. Now, another thing that a lot of startup miss out, and I think is a really, really, really good strategy, is engaging where your audience. And when I say engaging, I mean engaging on the platform, on under people's brand. It could be like complementary brands. For instance, if you are a fintech, right? Maybe you're a fintech and you know a financial influencer that usually trends. You understand? Go and be commenting under his post. People are following people who follow financial influencers are interested in finance, and that's what you're doing. Go and be commenting on his post, especially the ones that are very very big. They will discover you. This was how I discovered Auntie Esther, right? I remember how Auntie Esther on Twitter used to plug her. She will plug her business under any trending tweet shamelessly. Do you understand? A lot of people laughed, some were mocked, some were feigning unnecessary annoyance, like why is she always doing this? But the cocoa is that people actually came and patronized that she got that visibility. And if you can get visibility, conversion is not far-fetched, right? So you want to engage them, complimentary brand, you want to engage big people. Tunde Ednot is another place where you can go where you can go and be commenting because there are always plenty people there. Insta blog is also another place, right? But then again, it depends on your audience, right? But even at that, if I say okay, maybe I want to build an audience of founders, startup founders, I can still find them on blog because that's entertaining, right? Most of them still like to be entertained. So you want to put yourself out there. Don't just sit in one place. Visibility is the game, right? So put yourself out there. Let them be able to see you, right? So you should remember that your data present is bigger than your product. That's just the truth. Adeife was big way before the remote worker came, and she's still big. Do you understand? A lot of people you might know. If I say Adeife, a lot of people might know, but they don't even know that she already has something called remote her, right? Because she has presence online, she has visibility online. So please don't be the confused founder thinking about where do I start, where do I put. Be like this confident young woman who knows where she's supposed to be, right? And with that, I have come to the end of today's lessons. See you in my next lesson. I would, I mean, okay, you can check the caption. I would probably talk about what I'm going to talk next in my next video. And please, if you found this video useful, please let me know. If there's something you want me to teach, if there's something that you want to learn, if there's something that you don't have so much knowledge about, please holler at me in the comment section. I'll be willing to do a video. My job here is to educate. I've had a lot of experience and I want to be able to help others not make the mistakes that I make, because everything I'm teaching comes from my own experience. I have failed several times and now we have learned from it and we're now teaching and giving back. Okay, so my name is Blessing Itohan and I help startups and other marketers grow with simple, clear strategies. See you guys in my next video.